Hey, what's going on, guys? Against here. In this video I'd like to talk about the conceptual difference between tenses in Korean as opposed to English. So here is the insight I came up with so far by comparison, like different written sources, and especially this new amazing video source by Korean teacher Katie YouTube channel that I came up with recently was extremely helpful in regards of revealing this kind of insight I'm going to share with you guys. So here is the insight. I've realized that English can be treated as the language that is tense oriented. So what I mean by saying tense oriented, I mean that tenses in English is something that formulates the solid basis you can safely rely on in order to expand your language skills in English. However, if you will try to use exactly the same approach to learning Korean like I did, it turns out as a complete disaster because not only because of the fact that in Korean you may encounter tense like talk to me in Korean says like past tense in Korean but present tense in English. So like some misleading tenses. So I mean, like it might be that you say something in one tense in Korean, it turns out to be a different tense in English. So a part of this sort of a disaster, even a bigger problem is that the tenses that are more complicated than the simple present, past, and the future is the fact that to formulate, say, progressive tense or perfect tense, Koreans actually do use some specific verbs. So it's not the matter of a different tense, it's just the matter of using some certain specific verbs that can be treated as a different tense in English, which means that Korean is not actually a tense-oriented language as English. And that's the reason why we actually can rely on tenses as this sort of a solid basis when we're learning Korean. So a natural question arises here: what can we actually do rely on to serve as a solid basis in Korean in order to serve as this sort of a starting platform to expand our talking and written and whatever language speaking skills in Korean. So these are the verbs and the verb conjugation. So for those of you who has been watching Korean dramas for a long time like I did, without understanding a single word of what are they talking about, you probably the only thing that you could have learned from Korean dramas and what you could remember from them are the verbs followed by the sentence endings. But obviously I didn't even know that was the matter of the verbs, but all I remember from Korean dramas is like yo, 습니다, and so on. So this 습니다, 입니다, 에요, 요, 야, 써요, 거예요. So these endings, and you hear them all the time. And like when I was watching that, when I was listening to that, I was thinking like, oh my god, how they can say the same words all of the time, meanwhile meaning different things. So I was thinking that they kind of saying the same things all of the time, and I was so surprised, like how do they distinguish some different things, some different thoughts that they're expressing while they actually seem to be using exactly the same words every time. And I didn't know anything about Korean grammar at that time, and only later on I've realized that it's the matter of just the sentence ending, like polite, impolite, formal, informal, high, low, written, spoken, and the million of other forms that I don't know. So I've realized this only much later on. Okay, so, and this gives a very reasonable, a very natural idea behind this kind of solid basis that one needs to obtain while learning Korean, so the verb conjugation. So unlikely English, in Korean we can use the only verb in order to actually say something, and grammatically this would be kind of enough. So in this video I'd like to share my insights regarding this conceptual difference between English and Korean in regards to like conjugated verb-oriented versus tense-oriented approach in regards to these kind of two languages, and how exactly this is different from the mindset, and how one need to change his mindset in order to come a little bit closer to, well, let's say, starting thinking in Korean, because this is some of the core concepts that makes Korean thinking completely different from the English thinking. Just the matter of this orientation, like tense-oriented or verb-oriented, is already making this is already enough to have a totally different mindset, and all the thoughts that being expressed and then converted into words and being expressed in the form of speech, all this takes its roots in this sort of orientation. So this is the topic that I really want to make an emphasis on, because even though there are really lots of amazing resources by Korean native speakers, no one actually explains this difference, because if you're a native speaker, it's so natural to stick to that orientation that is natural to your language, and it's not that clear to reveal this sort of a difference. So without further ado, let's actually start. So I will start. I'm gonna be using this Korean teacher KD's videos, the single video on learning Korean, 5 tenses in Korean, along this video, because again, like, this 6 minutes actually gave me more than my previous month of studying Korean, because this sort of video is the exact source that actually allowed me to come up with this sort of a insight that I've just tried to explain you guys. So just to give you an idea how important this video is to me, just to give you an idea. So I would be using this video as a source of knowledge to showcase my insights. Well, obviously I did know about the verb conjugations before watching this video, and I did know about the present, past, and future tenses as well. But when it comes to more complicated tenses like present progressive and past perfect, this video becomes a real treasure, and I will later on explain why exactly. So without further ado, let's actually start. So let's take the most commonly used, probably one of the most commonly used Korean verbs, which means to go. And to make it actually a verb, I need to add da at the end. So this would be like gada, like to go. So this is the basic kind of dictionary form of the Korean verb. So if I want to say this in the present form, it might be simply used as ga, but again, like Google Translate has no idea that this is the verb and tries to translate this somewhat different part of speech. So I would be ending the polite end in yo. So to give you an idea that this is the present tense. So we have the dictionary form, we have the present tense. Now in order to go for past tense, so as far as this is the regular verb, it follows the natural verb conjugation rules. So this would be gassoyo. So this would be just gassoyo. So went, okay, and will go 갈거예요. So 갈고 by the way, yeah, before I continue, just one more little credit to Korean teacher Katie, who is extremely helpful and in terms of being responsive. So I asked tons of questions and she kindly answered all of them. So one of the questions I asked, I probably you could have encountered this sort of a confusion like I did. So sometimes Koreans write goyo, the standard future form of whatever verb, like this. So they use goyo instead of koyo simply, right? And even Google actually says that this is wrong and you need to change to go. So I asked Korean teacher Katie, like, what the heck is going on here and why this is so? And she gave me a very insightful and kind explanation. So the reason is that 갈거예요 is not pronounced like 갈거예요. It's pronounced as 갈거예요. So it's pronounced like double consonant, like this gyuk pachim should be like a double consonant, and not only the gyuk pachim on its own. So that's the reason why sometimes they do write this as go, not ko. So that's just the matter of writing the way how they pronounce it. But the proper kind of grammatical way is obviously using this single go, this go, like the single one. So this is kind of it. So when it comes to tenses, like the present simple, like past simple, future simple tenses, it's all the matter of just conjugating the verb to the appropriate sort of a tense. And again, like as opposed to English, again, just to showcase the difference between this verb-oriented versus tense-oriented. So in English we have go, went, gone, but gone is not the future tense, right? Gone is the perfect tense. So again, like the verb conjugations in English are more like connected to the specific tenses in terms of, I mean, I don't even know how to say. So I mean, like the future in English is the matter of the tense. So I'm going to, I will go. So there are some specific tense-like words, specific tense-related words to refer the future in English. And this sort of a specific tense, it's just the pure tense on its own without much sticking to the certain verb. So I will go, I will eat, I will shut up, I will whatever, right? So I will, like I shall, I would, I could, I would, and not I could, it's not here, and so on. So I'm going to, so it's like a tense, right? Tense-oriented thing. But while in Korean, the verb itself, when it conjugates to the certain kind of, they call it tense, but I wouldn't even call this tense in that case, because it's more like it's the verb. It's just it's the present, past, future verb form. So it's kind of verb form. It's not the tense. So I'm not sure how okay is this to use this sort of a terms that I use, because again, just from my noob scuba kicking's perspective, this might be this is how I understand it, but this might not be 100% like technically correct to say in that sort of way. But I'm sorry for that if anyone is getting confused by my explanations, but I'm just trying to deliver this core insight that I have. So anyway, when it comes to the simple like present, past, and perfect tenses, it's quite pretty natural. So this is still pretty similar to English. And again, like it's translated as I'm coming, while literally this should be translated as will go or going to, right? So will go or going to, this one, but it's translated as I'm coming, which is even the verified translation. So just to give a little bit more sense to this sort of a one word expression, let's add the polite form of saying I. So Jonin would be I. So Joe is somewhat like that, might be treated as that guy or whatever, like you're talking about yourself as that. So that's the polite way of referring your own self. And then as a topic marking particle, which in this case actually translated as I, but the idea is, well, okay, that's just totally different topic. Let's just skip it for now. Instead, let's just base this into all this kind of sentences. So I'm going, again, like not I'm going actually. Another example of verb-oriented versus tense-oriented approach. So 저는 가요 is not I'm going. Technically, it's like I go, because this is the present tense. It's not progressive. There is no progression in this sort of a sentence from the grammatical perspective, because this is literally like I go, and that's kind of it. But it's translated into progressive tense. So another shift of the emphasis, so how the tenses are getting changed. So the idea is that in Korean we have the conjugated verb forms as something static, and tenses and something dynamic. And in English, this is totally on the contrary. We have tenses as something static, and the verb are getting actually more dynamic, I would say. So this is one of the core differences. But now we're coming to the most intriguing part. So let's actually try to use the present progressive in Korean, and this is one of the most confusing things to me at the very least. So before actually coming up with this sort of a fantastic resource on how one can easily say something in the present progressive tense, I've been walking through this like blog posts, and absolutely the same thing happens with the grammar books. You have lots of theory, and what you're actually coming up with is that you have completely different structure, and you see like gu plus idda. So idda is to have, and gu is also used with a verb to want. Let's say I want to eat like bogo 싶어요. Right, and you started being very confused because you was thinking like this go is used when you want to say verb like in its basic form, like I want to eat, to go, to see, like I want to eat bogo 싶어요. I want to see well, also like sounds very naturally 먹고 싶어요. So I want to eat, and 보고 싶어요, I want to see. They sound very similar, but they're written in a different way. But it's not the case, really. Sorry, guys, getting distracted by the cats walking around. Okay, so this is something that like makes you already confused, because this go is used in someone else context, in someone else constructs other but the present progressive. So I've started Googling even more, and I found this one. So we can say like this, we can say like this, but in both cases, so this one is at least clear because of gu itself, which I'm familiar with. But when we're using this or, I don't know, they probably serve as the particles or as modifiers here. And again, we're using this the verb to have. This is really confusing because to have is more like something related to perfect tense. If you're thinking from the tense-oriented mindset perspective, right? And only the very last one is this. And let's just grab this one. By the way, this junida is exactly the construct that is used by Korean teacher KT, and I'm really so grateful to her for showcasing this exact sort of a construct, this exact sort of a verb that can be used in regards to present progressive tense, even though there probably and most likely there are some different scenarios where you can use this one or this one when they're kind of more applicable. But I truly believe that this one is the most basic form, because if we just go and translate this junida, we have in progress, and oh my god, in progress, isn't this what we were meaning actually, the present progressive tense? So something that is happening currently in progress. And now it's very simple. So if we want, another little insight from the grammar perspective, no matter if the verb stem ends with a vowel or a consonant, we always ended up with 는. So even if we use the verb, let's say we use the verb to go, this would be like 가는 중이다, just to make it in the present form, joina요. I got like this, I believe. Let me just reference Johnny. Nope. Or man, I can see I probably yeah. I missed this again. Hey, yo, like this. So well, it doesn't matter exactly how it's translated, but this actually should be treated as I'm going. So if I just add this one here, I'm on my way. Yeah, but literally this actually I go in progress. So like I 저는 가는, like go is, I'm not sure if 는 is a topic marking particle here or not. It's another confusing thing. However, if it is, then definitely go is the topic here, and jun이요 is like in progress. So I go in progress. So this is kind of it. So I'm on the way. And again, like if you try to reference the Google Translate, it translates everything, but not the tense that you're expecting, right? Okay, and just to use a different verb here, let's use bok, which is to eat. So I'm eating, and this time again, like this time the tense is correct, so it's the proper tense. However, if we just say let's say Janin Bog sorry for this Bogoyo. Well, yeah, this is one of not many. This is one of not many examples when the tense actually matches. But I don't remember which verbs in particular I've been using. But sometimes it happens that you actually use this kind of present simple kind of tense, and it's been translated as the present progressive. Oh, I've just realized that actually this one, I'm going and I am going. So yeah, just to give this a bit more idea. So here is actually the example I've been talking about. So oh man, let's just put this somewhere. So Janen gayo, I'm going, but which is literally I go, and Janen gagoyo, which is actually would it be, oh my god. Yeah, but this is even, again, like, yeah, this is even the future tense. And let's say if we say Janen ganen, Joni ayo. Oh man, what do I'm on the way. Yeah, so this is even more different. So, well, I hope the idea is clear that when it comes to the actual translation, there is no clear tense to tense conversion. So one tense in Korean might be totally different. Well, maybe not totally different, but just different tense in English. And I think the vice versa, it should be the same. So yeah. And well, I think this is it regarding the present progressive. So again, like when I have this sort of a in progress verb, the verb that actually means in progress. So I eat in progress. I'm sorry. This is probably the most natural way of like using this progressive tense, using the verb. So again, like the verb-oriented approach, as I've been mentioning like 1,000 times in this video already, apparently. So we use the certain verb in order to refer a certain tense, right? So this is so amazing. And this sort of idea works exactly the same with the perfect tense. I'm not sure regarding the other tenses. I think this should be literally something the same, but I just didn't yet come up with some decent sources of information to reveal that. But I just wanna show you how this works with a present perfect. So with a present perfect, so let's call this one. So ends with n, and again, like in this case, whether the verb stem ends with a vowel or a consonant actually matters. So it does end with a consonant. This n turns into un, and in case if it ends with a vowel, like in case of the boda, so this would be bun. And this ends becomes like the part of the verb stem like this. So bun jogiso, bun jogiso yo. Like I have seen, right? So let's try to apply this sort of way, this sort of a thing as well. So and again, like yeah, and another example, like I came up with this sort of a blog post in regards to tenses, but the role being described here is different. So well, it's better in terms of specifying the verb stem ending. So it's more like kind of clear then. However, here it's totally different. So a part of only having this jak, jakita, like in here we have this jakita. So here they do an extra verb to have. So jogi ita, which again like makes me confused because yeah, it's just gets things it gets complicated. And also again like this is probably a written form. I might be wrong though, but yeah, it's the I'm always getting confused by the da when I see it somewhere in the text, because it reminds me that this should be a dictionary form. So yeah, it just makes me being confused. So here is the deal. So when I come up with this sort of a resources, and again, like if you have a look at some grammar books, this is more like from a grammar book, right? And it's not really helpful when you're actually trying to express a certain thought in the present perfect tense. So let's just close this and get back to current teacher KT's introduction. So chikita. Well, actually, this is also have, but it doesn't have this e in between. So let's see jokita. So let's see what it means. So jokita. Okay, jokita. And this one confuses me really a lot. Have enemies. Well, this is so strange. So just to make sure that I did jokita. Yeah, and yeah, this is something that you would probably never ever come up with using Google Translate, because yeah, using have enemies to say something in present perfect, yeah, it's something that is really confusing. But okay, let's just try to use this as the as the construct and say I have at in Korean. So 저는 먹은 in this case, I believe, right? Yeah, this should be 먹은. I have eaten. Yeah, I have eaten, right? 저는 먹은 적이 있다. And again, like to give present, past, future is the matter of conjugating this verb to have. So 있어요. So this would be the present. I have eaten. And if I change this to the past form, this should be I had eaten. So 있었어요. 있었어요. I'm sorry, 있었어요. Oh man. What am I doing wrong? 있었어요. Is this? Hold on a sec. This should be made like had. Nope. Okay, guys. I'm sorry. I swear I tried this and this worked. Yeah. So yeah, have. So was. So this goes to the past one. And okay, I'm sorry. I just want to reference this quickly. So let me just take one of my favorite verb conjugators and have this ita. Okay. Past. Yeah. 있었어요. Yeah, 있었어요. So yeah, literally this means I had. This means I had. Yeah, but it translates as there was. So this should be I had eaten, not I have eaten, right? Because we have this past kind of form. So again, like this is another example when, like another example of the case where Google Translate might not be that helpful, because it still translates this as I have eaten. But well, we definitely can go for verb conjugations, and this meaning would be, so this and this would be kind of really different tenses from Korean verb conjugation perspective, like the present one and the past one. So I would say this should be like a present perfect, and this one should be like as a past perfect, but they are translated in exactly the same way. I know probably there is some sort of a specific case of using like perfect tense, but anyway. And well, this is kind of it regarding what I've learned from these two amazing like present progressive and present perfect tenses from Korean teacher KT. And before actually ending this video, I'd like to share another insight that I did verify from Korean teacher KT, and you can see this in the commentaries below. So I was asking her how to say I have been living in Korea for 5 years. So yeah, so and I was using this go pattern. So I have been living, right? And pattern like 있어요, a certain amount. And yeah, just may have a look at her response. No, don't reply. Oh, she did fix my Shina versus pure numbers miss application, because I used native numbers, pure numbers, while I should be using the Shino numbers, which are derived from Chinese numbers, when it's the matter of counting the years. So this is the phrase. Copy. And so I've been living in Korea for 3 years. By the way, it doesn't have I, but only 한국에, which means in Korea. 한국에 3년, 3년, 한국에 3년. So 3년 is 3 years, but this is the numbers, like, I guess they are called Shino numbers. Those derived from the Chinese numbers when we count in years. And salgo, so salda is to live, and in here with this go and with the verb have, we have this I have been living. So past present perfect continuous, or present perfect progressive, let's say. So this is another amazing example of how we can manipulate like the Korean verbs, and how we can conjugate the Korean verbs in order to come up with equivalents, with the different equivalents of tenses in English. And I guess here is the play, here is where I try this past for to have. So 있었어요. I have been. No, it's not the case. But I swear, guys, once I did use. Probably I was using 왔어요, which is to come, and which is weird. She told me not to use that. So I used like I came to live, and not I have to live. But anyway, well, sometimes it just happens when I change this have to the past form, like had. Sorry. Google Translate sometimes changes I have to I had. So like this should be something like I had been living in Korea for 3 years, so kind of like a past perfect continuous, not the present perfect continuous, but the past perfect continuous. So I just want to give you an idea that by conjugating this kind of verbs that we use in order to kind of like mark the tenses other than future, past, other than the simple present, simple past, simple future. So this kind of like tense marking verbs, which might there might be like many different tense marking verbs being involved in order to make some equivalents for different tenses in Korean. So they would be equivalent to like tenses in English, but we also can conjugate those kind of verbs because like every other verb, it can get conjugated. And again, like this is the case where Google Translate unfortunately doesn't really is not really that helpful. That's what I wanted to say. So again, like we have the future, we have the present form here, and we have the kind of past form here, but it's translated as the present form in both cases. So this is something that is kind of really confusing, and yeah, just to bear in mind that without having this verb-oriented, verb-centered approach in your mindset when you're building sentences in Korean, and when you're also trying to link some tenses there, it's really important to have this verb-centered, verb-concentrated mindset in order to come up with a more natural kind of like phrases. So I guess this is it, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was trying to record this video for, I don't know, maybe 10 times. It was really incredibly difficult because the most difficulty was actually to tighten my thoughts into one single flow to try to deliver the core gist behind it. And sorry, I felt really a little bit of a tired after actually recording this video. Once I forgot to turn on the mic, then I just forgot to put the mic on. I hope now it's on me. Yeah, this is my mic. Yeah. Okay, so okay, guys, I really feel a little bit exhausted. So I really hope that this video was useful for you. And what can I say as the Korean learner? With a proper mindset and without sticking to the patterns we used to stick in English, when without trying to apply this like tense oriented approach to Korean, and by learning the Korean's own approach for sentence building, we can succeed eventually. I truly believe that, especially as long as we have this like great resources like Korean Teacher KD YouTube channel, where you can ask the question and get a very kind response back. So it helps really a lot, guys. Okay, so this is it from my side. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, and take care.